How you doing, everybody? My name is Dr. Sami Baya. Please welcome back to my YouTube channel. Some people are not real humans. Narcissist and chosen one. Spiritual video. Now, it's very important to clarify that everyone is a real human, but some behaviors and attitudes might make some people less genuine or disconnected from others. So in this video, I'm gonna give you a list of behaviors and traits that might make individuals appear less authentic or disconnected from their human experience, along with real life examples and experiences. Number one is lack of empathy. People who consistently fail to understand or care about others' feelings can seem inauthentic. And this is where the narcissists fall in. They lack empathy. For example, if you have a coworker who dismisses colleagues' struggles without compassion, it is a demonstration of lacking empathy. Also, number two is chronic self-centeredness. Someone who constantly prioritizes their needs above everyone else might seem disconnected. For instance, a friend who only reaches out when they need something. That's a sign of chronic self-centeredness. Narcissists are said to be chronic self-centered people. Now, dishonesty is another thing that makes some people not real humans. These are people who consistently lie or hide the truth. It can make them appear less genuine. For example, a person who frequently exaggerates their achievements to impress others. And one thing, narcissists love this, exaggerating their accomplishments, their achievements. Number four thing that makes some people not real humans is manipulative behavior. These are people who manipulate others for personal gain, and it makes them seem less authentic. For instance, a colleague who spreads rumors to advance their own career. That's also another manipulative behavior. And one thing, we know that narcissists are master manipulators. The other thing that makes people not real humans is superficial relationships. This is someone who only maintains shallow connections with others, and this makes them appear or to seem to be disconnected. For example, a person who only interacts with friends when it is convenient for them. And we know narcissists have superficial relationships. Again, the other thing that makes some people not real humans is lack of accountability. This is not taking responsibility for one's actions. It makes them less genuine. For instance, an employee who always blames others for their mistakes. This is another character of narcissists lacking accountability. Then there's the inconsistency in behavior. There are people who behave very differently depending on their audience, and this makes them less authentic. For example, a person who is very different in social settings compared to when they are alone. And we know that behavior is identical with narcissists. Then there's another thing that makes some people not real humans is constant need for validation. Someone who constantly seeks approval and praise, they appear less genuine. For example, a social media user who posts excessively to gain likes and comments. We also have refusal to show vulnerability, something that makes some people not real humans. When you avoid sharing personal struggles or feelings, it can make someone seem disconnected. For instance, a manager who never admits, to having a bad day. Then there's the lack of genuine interest. Makes also some people appear not to be real humans. People who feel interest in conversations or activities might seem less real. For example, a colleague who pretends to be excited about a project but shows no real enthusiasm. We have people who are not real humans because they are overly judgmental in their attitude. They are being overly critical or judgmental of others, and this makes these people seem less empathetic. For instance, a friend who constantly criticizes others' choices without understanding their reasons. We also have some people are not real humans because of the excessive imperfectionism. Striving for unattainable standards can make someone seem disconnected from reality. For example, a student who obsessively corrects every minor error in their work, neglecting their well-being. Something else that makes someone appear not real humans is avoidance of conflict. Avoiding confrontation or difficult conversations can make someone seem inauthentic. For instance, a family member who never addresses underlying issues in family dynamics. Then unwillingness to apologize also makes some people appear not to be real humans. Failing to apologize or admit mistakes can seem disingenuous. For example, a partner who never says sorry, even when they clearly hurt someone's feelings. Then there is the constant comparison, also makes some people not real humans. Regularly comparing oneself to others can make someone seem less content and genuine. For instance, someone who frequently compares their life to influencers on social media. Some overemphasis on image again can also make some people appear to be not real humans. When you focus excessively on appearance rather than substance, it can make you to appear or to seem superficial. For example, a person who spends more time curating their social media presence than engaging in meaningful activities. Then there's the inability to listen, also makes some people appear not to be real humans. Not truly listening to others can make someone seem disconnected. For instance, a boss who interrupts employees and doesn't genuinely consider their input. Then, some people are not real humans because of their frequent excuses. They make excuses instead of taking responsibility, and this makes it appear inauthentic. For example, an employee who always has a reason for missing deadlines but never makes an effort to improve. Then we have some people are not real humans because of their over reliance on cliches. Using generic or insincere phrases can make someone seem less genuine. For instance, a manager who gives generic motivational speeches rather than providing specific support. Some people are not real humans because of their lack of genuine humor. Using humor to mask real emotions or issues can seem disingenuous. For example, someone who always cracks jokes to avoid discussing serious topics. Some people are not real humans because of their inconsistency in values. That is, acting contrary to one's stated values or beliefs can make someone seem less authentic. For instance, a person who advocates for environmental sustainability but regularly engages in environmentally harmful practices. Some people are not real humans because of their unwillingness to engage in self-reflection. Avoiding self-reflection and personal growth can make someone seem stagnant. For example, a person who never evaluates their own behavior or seeks to improve themselves. Also, some people are not real humans because of their lack of compassion. A person who is consistently indifferent to others' suffering can seem inauthentic. For example, a neighbor who ignores a community member in distress. Also, some people are not real humans because of their overemphasis on status. Focusing on social status or hierarchy can make someone seem less genuine. For instance, a person who only socializes with others based on their perceived status or influence. Some people are not real humans because of their neglect of personal relationships. They prioritize work or other obligations over personal relationships, and this can seem disingenuous. For example, someone who misses important family events due to work commitments but doesn't make an effort to reconnect later. Some people are not real humans because of their perpetual negativity. Constantly focusing on the negative aspects of life can make someone seem less approachable. For example, a friend who always complains about their situation without seeking solutions. Some people are not real humans because of their lack of respect for boundaries. Ignoring personal boundaries can make someone seem intrusive and less respectful. For example, someone who consistently overshares personal information without considering others' privacy. Some people are not real humans because of their over intellectualization. That is, relying solely on intellectual arguments and avoiding emotional aspects can make someone seem disconnected. For example, a person who dismisses emotional responses as irrational without acknowledging their validity. Some people are not real humans because of their chronic envy. Regularly feeling envious of others can make someone seem less content with their own life. For instance, a colleague who always feels resentful about other successes rather than celebrating them. Some people are not real humans because of their failure to support others. Not supporting friends or family during their times of need can seem inauthentic. For example, someone who disappears when a friend is going through a difficult time but reappears when things are better. Some people are not real humans because of their over-reliance on technology. Excessive use of technology at the expense of face-to-face interactions can make someone seem less connected. For example, someone who always checks their phone during conversations instead of engaging fully. Some people are not real humans because of the excessive self-promotion. Constantly promoting oneself can seem inauthentic. For example, a person who frequently talks about their own achievements in every conversation without showing interest in others' lives. Some people are not real humans because of their refusal to accept help. Not accepting help or support from others can make someone seem overly independent or disconnected. For instance, someone who refuses to ask for assistance even when clearly they are overwhelmed. Some people are not real humans because of their disregard for others' opinions. Ignoring or dismissing others' opinions can make someone seem less respectful. For example, a team leader who never considers feedback from team members. Some people are not real humans because of their over apologizing. Excessively apologizing for minor issues can seem insincere. For instance, a person who apologizes repeatedly for small mistakes without making genuine changes. There's also lack of authentic engagement. Engaging in activities or conversations just to conform can seem disingenuous. For example, attending social events solely to avoid being left out rather than genuine interest. There's also the superficial charm, which makes some people not real humans. Use charm or flattery to manipulate others, and this can seem insincere. For example, a salesperson uses excessive flattery to close a deal rather than building a genuine relationship. There's also the emphasis on materialism. Prioritizing material possessions over personal connections can seem disconnected. For instance, someone who values expensive gifts over meaningful gestures of love and care. Some people are not real humans because of their inflexibility. Being rigid and unwilling to adapt can make someone seem less understanding. For example, a partner who refuses to compromise on any issues in a relationship. There's the inconsistent ethics, where it's about acting unethically when it suits them, can make someone seem less principled. For instance, a person who advocates for honesty but frequently engages in dishonesty behavior. Some people are not real humans because of their avoidance of responsibility. Consistently, they avoid responsibility, and this makes them to appear unreliable. For example, a roommate who never helps with household chores despite agreements. There's also the excessive focus on success. Overemphasizing personal success at the expense of others' achievements can seem disconnected. For example, someone who only talks about their career milestones while ignoring others' successes. There's also the inability to forgive. Holding grudges and refusing to forgive can make someone seem less emotional or emotionally flexible. For instance, a friend who cannot move past a minor disagreement and lets it affect their interactions. There's also a lack of generosity. Being unwilling to share time, resources, or attention can make someone seem self-centered. For example, a person who never contributes to group activities or helps others in need. There's also the unwillingness to face reality. Avoiding or denying uncomfortable truths can make someone seem disconnected from reality. For example, someone who refuses to acknowledge personal issues that are affecting their relationships. There's also the overemphasis on control. Trying to control every aspect of a situation can make someone seem rigid. For example, a parent who micromanages every detail of their child's life without allowing them any autonomy. There's also the inconsistent affection. Being overly affectionate one moment and distant the next can seem insincere. For instance, a partner who showers their significant other with attention only when they need something. Some people are not real humans because of their constant need to be right. Always needing to be correct and not accepting different viewpoints can make someone seem inflexible. For example, a person who argues relentlessly to prove their point without listening to others. There's also disregard for social norms. Consistently ignoring social norms can make someone seem out of touch. For instance, someone who consistently behaves inappropriately in formal settings without understanding the impact. Some people are not real humans because of their unwillingness to adapt. Being resistant to change or new ideas can make someone seem disconnected. For example, an employee who refuses to learn new technologies despite their importance for the job. Then there is the excessive skepticism. Being overly skeptical of others' intentions can make someone seem distrustful. For instance, a friend who always questions the motives behind others' kind gestures. There's also the neglect of self-care. Failing to take care of one's own well-being can make someone seem disconnected from their own needs. For example, a person who neglects their health due to work pressures. There's also the overemphasis on competition. Treating every interaction as a competition can make someone seem less collaborative. For example, a colleague who always tries to outdo others rather than work as a team. There's also the lack of gratitude that makes some people not real humans. Not expressing thanks or appreciation can make someone seem ungrateful. For instance, a person who never acknowledges others' efforts or contributions. There's also the disrespect for others' time. Not valuing others' time can make someone seem inconsiderate. For example, a friend who is consistently late or cancels plans at the last minute without valid reasons. There's also the avoidance of commitment. Shying away from long-term commitments can make someone seem unreliable. For example, a partner who avoids discussing future plans in a relationship. Then there's the excessive focus on the past. Constantly dwelling on past mistakes or events can make someone seem unable to move forward. For instance, someone who frequently brings up old grievances rather than focusing on the present. There's also the lack of personal integrity. Acting without regard for one's own principles can make someone seem less trustworthy. For example, a person who changes their stance on important issues based on convenience. Then there's the superficial praise. Giving insincere or generic praise can seem less genuine. For instance, a boss who provides vague compliments without recognizing specific accomplishments. Then there's the avoidance of emotional depth. Steering clear of deep emotional conversations can make someone seem superficial. For example, a friend who always changes the subject when serious topics arise. Then there's the over-reliance on external validation. Relying heavily on others' approval can make someone seem less self-assured. For instance, a person who constantly seeks feedback on every decision they make. Then there's the failure to engage in community. Not participating in or contributing to community or social groups can make someone seem disconnected. For example, a neighbor who never engages in local events or activities. Then we have the inability to handle criticism. Reacting poorly to constructive criticism can make someone seem defensive. For instance, a team member who becomes hostile when receiving feedback on their work. Then there's the lack of authenticity in communication. Using scripted or insincere language can make someone seem less genuine. For example, a customer service representative who provides overly formulaic responses. Then we have chronic procrastination. Consistently delaying tasks can make someone seem unreliable. For instance, a student who repeatedly puts off assignments and only completes them at the last minute. Then there's the overemphasis on individualism. Can also make someone appear not to be real human. Prioritizing personal gain over collective well-being can make someone seem less cooperative. For example, an employee who undermines team efforts to advance their own career. Then there's the lack of personal boundaries. Not respecting personal space or limits can make someone seem intrusive. For example, a coworker who frequently interrupts personal time or conversations. Then there's the unwillingness to learn from mistakes. Repeating the same errors without attempting to improve can make someone seem stubborn. For instance, a manager who continues to implement unsuccessful strategies despite feedback. Then there's the frequent mood swings. The inconsistent emotional responses can make someone seem unpredictable. For example, a friend who alternates between being extremely cheerful and uncharacteristically withdrawn. Then there's the superficial engagement in causes. Supporting causes only for appearances' sake rather than genuine belief can seem insincere. For instance, someone who participates in charity events only for social status. Then there's the overemphasis on perfection. Seeking perfection at the expense of progress can make someone seem unrealistic. For example, an artist who refuses to share their work until it meets an unattainable standard. Then there's the refusal to accept change. Not adapting to new circumstances can make someone seem resistant to growth. For example, a team member who resists new technologies or methods that could improve efficiency. Then there's the lack of self-awareness. Not recognizing one's own flaws or limitations can make someone seem oblivious. For instance, a leader who fails to see how their behavior affects team morale. Then there's the overemphasis on hierarchy. Placing excessive importance on social or professional hierarchy can make someone seem elitist. For example, a manager who only values opinions from higher ranking employees. Then we have excessive focus on blame. Consistently blaming others without self-reflection can make someone seem less accountable. For instance, a team member who always points fingers when projects fail without considering their own role. Then there's the avoidance of responsibility. Evading responsibilities or obligations can make someone seem unreliable. For example, a roommate who consistently shirks household duties while expecting others to pick up the slack. Then there's the lack of respect for diversity. Ignoring or dismissing diverse perspectives can make someone seem narrow-minded. For example, someone who shows a lack of appreciation for cultural differences in a diverse workplace. Then there's the inability to keep promises. Frequently breaking promises can make someone seem unreliable. For instance, a friend who constantly makes plans but cancels them at the last minute. Then there's the overemphasis on control. Trying to control every aspect of a situation or relationship can make someone seem domineering. For example, a partner who micromanages every detail of their significant other's life. Then there's the neglect of emotional needs. Ignoring one's own or others' emotional needs can make someone seem disconnected. For instance, a parent who focuses only on the practical aspects of caregiving while neglecting emotional support. There's also the excessive focus on material wealth. Prioritizing material wealth over personal relationships can make someone seem shallow. For example, someone who values expensive gifts over time spent with loved ones. Then there's the lack of follow through. Failing to follow through on commitments or plans can make someone seem unreliable. For instance, a colleague who frequently promises to take on tasks but never delivers. Then there's the over-reliance on others for happiness. Expecting others to fulfill one's happiness can make someone seem dependent. For example, a partner who relies on their significant other for constant validation and joy. There is the inability to adapt to social norms. Struggling to adapt to or understanding social norms can make someone seem out of touch. For instance, a new employee who fails to grasp the informal rules of workplace interactions. Then there's the superficial or inauthentic praise. Giving insincere praise can make someone seem less genuine. For example, a manager who offers generic compliments without recognizing specific achievements. Then there's the avoidance of deep conversations. Avoiding meaningful discussions in favor of light or trivial topics can make someone seem less connected. For instance, a friend who only talks about superficial matters without addressing deeper issues. There's the disregard for personal growth. Not engaging in personal development or self-improvement can make someone seem stagnant. For example, someone who avoids new challenges or learning opportunities. There's the overemphasis on image over substance. Focusing more on appearance than on meaningful contributions can make someone seem superficial. For instance, someone who prioritizes their social media presence over personal relationships. Then there's the inability to handle ambiguity. Struggling with ambiguity or uncertainty can make someone seem rigid. For example, a team member who becomes distressed or unproductive when plans change unexpectedly. Then there's the frequent outbursts. Reacting with anger or frustration inappropriately can make someone seem unstable. For instance, someone who frequently loses their temper over minor inconveniences. Then there's the neglect of personal relationships. Prioritizing work or other commitments over personal relationships can make someone seem disconnected. For example, a person who rarely spends time with family due to work obligations. Then there's the disrespect for others' time and efforts. Not valuing others' contributions can make someone seem inconsiderate. For example, a colleague who routinely takes credit for others' work without acknowledgement. Then there's the chronic neglect of commitments. Consistently failing to meet commitments can make someone seem unreliable. For instance, a student who repeatedly misses deadlines or skips classes. Then there's the overemphasis on perfectionism. Pursuing perfection at the expense of practical results can make someone seem unrealistic. For example, an employee who obsessively tweaks a project to make it perfect rather than completing it on time. Then there's the avoidance of vulnerability. Avoiding vulnerability can make someone seem emotionally distant. For instance, someone who never shares personal struggles or feelings with close friends. Then there's the unwillingness to compromise. Being inflexible and unwilling to compromise can make someone seem rigid. For example, a partner who insists on their way in every disagreement without considering their partner's perspective. Then there's the overemphasis on self-sufficiency. Relying solely on oneself and avoiding collaboration can make someone seem detached. For instance, a team member who refuses to ask for help even when it is needed. Then there's the lack of respect for different perspectives. Ignoring or dismissing differing viewpoints can make someone seem narrow-minded. For example, a person who refuses to consider alternative solutions during problem-solving discussions. Then there's the neglect of basic courtesy. Failing to practice basic manners and courtesy can make someone seem rude. For instance, a person who consistently interrupts others or does not acknowledge greetings. Then there's the failure to show genuine interest in others. Not showing authentic interest in others' lives can make someone seem disconnected. For example, a friend who only engages in conversations to talk about themselves rather than asking about others' lives. Now, these behaviors and traits can affect how genuine or connected a person seems, though it is crucial to approach these observations with empathy and understanding, because everyone has their own struggles and complexities. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so.